Welcome to She Lancer, Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. I'm your host, Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and this podcast are the audio versions of my live Q&A chats on YouTube. If you'd like to be part of the live Q&A chats, come on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. I'm live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. EST. We talk about voiceover, the business of voiceover, audiobooks, and so much more. Find more information on my website, voiceoverangela.com. Enjoy today's episode. Good morning, all. Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Got my coffee. I just found out it was powdered donut day. So now I just need powdered donuts. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. I appreciate you all being here. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. Easy for you to say. And through my channel, I share with you tips and tricks and techniques and things that I do every day in my own voiceover business. And then we get together in these weekly chats to talk about a few things, usually. We'll see how it goes. If you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, which is the topic for today. Again, we'll see how it goes. And this week the poll is, which should be done first in building your voiceover business? And I know that we've talked about these things a few times in the last few weeks, but I keep getting questions regarding building foundations. What comes first? Because the overwhelm is real, right? There's so much to be done in building your voiceover business. So I think this topic is very important. I mean, apart from finding the work, right? And staying on top of the work, and then the actual performance aspect, and then we get into the technical. Aside from all of those big major topics, this is really the one that I get, I think, the most often is the foundation. Like, what do I do first? There's just so much to do. So we're going to kind of come at this a little bit different way, and we're going to talk about the things that I have done and things that I have recommended to people that I work with to do in the beginning versus focusing solely on getting and finding the work or even the training and all the other things. And the poll today is I wanted to see where you guys are at. And I always appreciate the input that you guys put in, because it's not just, it's not just my opinion here. It's what you guys that are actually, what you guys have to, or maybe your experiences, right? What you've experienced in building your own voiceover business, because I always say that everybody's journey is different. And what works for me may not work for you. So getting everybody's input is important, but I'm going to share with you what I think, my personal opinions and things that I have done, and maybe even realize later that might help you to build this business for you. So which should be done first? It looks like the vast majority of you said to plan. 15% of you said, 14% of you said tools, software, equipment. And it is really kind of the chicken and the egg thing, right? So I wanted to get your take. Anyway, stop blabbing, Angela. 14% of you said tools, software, equipment. 11% of you said training, coaching, practice. And then 75% of you said planning, which is the research, figuring out where do I start, right? There's just so much, as we just discussed. But I think the most important aspect of the planning is discovering your why. And that is one of the 4 pillars that I have discussed before in other videos here on my channel. In the 4 pillars of success, I think for any business, the why, I think, is the most important. And your why is going to be your reason. The thing that you can fall back on when times get tough. the drive that pushes you forward in doing this to begin with? Is it because you love what you do? Is it to have more time to spend with family and doing things you enjoy, to travel, to make your own schedule, be your own boss? Is it because you want to make X amount of dollars, right? I mean, what is your why? Because your why, and this really goes for any business you start, your why has to be the strongest element in your foundation. Because if you don't have a strong why to do your chosen field of whatever it is, and in this case, voiceover and audiobook narration, if your why isn't strong enough, then you're not going to get very far, right? I feel a tangent coming on. Okay. And just really quickly, some of the other pillars of success, which again, I've discussed in other videos. Investment is another one. And investment comes in the form of time, tools, and the training, right? Because as you know, as I'm sure you've discovered at this point, especially if you're brand new, there's a lot to invest in. Not just in a computer that's, powerful enough to power all of the apps and things that you need to utilize every day, but then you also have the software, which comes in the form of your DAW, which is your digital audio workstation. The software that whichever invoicing software that you choose to use, it comes, investment is also in the equipment, because as you know, and we've talked about this before, the training, the equipment, there's a lot to invest in, and it's worth it. And it is worth it. It may seem like a lot, right? Because you've got the microphone, you've got the computer, you've got the interface, you've got headphones, you've got the DAW, you've got choosing a mentor or a coach, and then all of the investment of time in learning how to use all these things and in the training and the coaching. Investment is a big one. But your why is going to push you through that time, right? Is going to drive you forward, is to continue pushing you forward, to keep learning, to keep going, to keep auditioning, to keep attending the meetings, to keep, upgrading your equipment, all of those things. So I think your why drives a lot of these. Another pillar is your mindset. Because if you don't have the right mindset, and I don't want to say right, but as working adults, we're used to someone else telling us what to do instead of us calling the shots, or us wearing all of the hats that we need to wear to run a business. Not just in the actual doing of the voiceover, recording and performing the voiceovers, but also the marketing, finding the work, managing the finances, all of the things. So you need to shift your mindset and also include a little bit of positivity in there, in that mindset too. It will really help. Instead of thinking more like in the lack, abundance, right? Positivity in all of this. It really does help, believe me. So you have to shift your mindset to think like a positive CEO. And, of course, all of the learning and the time and the work that you need to put in to build all of these. So these are the main pillars of success that I have, stressed throughout the years. And I'm trying to suppress the tangents, I promise you. Just glancing over, so we got 32 votes, and it still looks like a vast majority of you said planning, so that's good. But just be careful to not get stuck in the what stage? Procrastinating. It's very easy to get stuck in that stage when you're in the research stage and you're figuring out, all the different websites that you could post your profile on, or which production companies or publishers or whatever it is that you want to reach out to, or which directions you want to go in voiceover, which coaches you want to, there's all these different rabbit holes that you can begin to go down. And then you start to tell yourself, well, I don't have this training, or I don't have this microphone, or I don't have this software. I don't have editing quite down yet, or I don't have my sound dialed in just quite yet. You're going to hold yourself back, telling yourself that you're in the lack of something to move forward, right? I need to learn, I need to do X, Y, Z before I can get started. And that's just baloney, because it's very easy to tell yourself that you can't when you should do, and then learn that you can while you're doing it, if that makes sense. So the procrastinating stage is very easy to get stuck into. Don't allow yourself to get stuck there. Okay, I'm done. All right, let's get over to the comments and see if you've been in this for a while, if you've been doing voiceover audiobook work for a while, and you have some tips to share, by all means, put them in the comments and share them with the group. It just benefits everybody, right? Like the rising tide lifts all boats, right? All right, let's get over to the comments and see who's here. Nafa Ma was here before I was even here. Looks like yesterday. You posted this comment yesterday. Look at you. In it. Dwight, you beat Caesar. How'd you do that? Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Angela, and hello to my fellow Angelistas. I think they are all important. You're very right. But like everyone, I know starting in VO, it is personalized because we just don't know. First, I think we should use spell checker on the poll. Yeah, I realized there was a double L in there. Thank you for pointing that out, Dwight. Yeah, I caught that after the fact and went, I don't think anybody's going to notice, but I was wrong. Thanks, Dwight. Caesar says, anecdotally, I think planning should come first. But here's the thing. You don't know what you don't know. So often we just buy the equipment and wing it before going for training or even planning. Yeah, I think that's what I did first. I think I watched a few videos. I read a few interviews. I read some information and just pretty much jumped in with both feet and went and bought equipment, or I think we had a microphone here. Either way, I jumped in with equipment and was like, I'm doing it. And then I realized, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I started to plan and research and train myself, and then got a coach like a year in when I should have gotten one before. Anyway, Caesar says, forgot to say, oh, hi, Angela. Hi, Caesar. When I started, I was like, I can do this thing. Same. So I bought a USB mic and hooked it up to a laptop and realized very quickly that I had much learning to do. Same. From there, it was a journey in experimentation, more equipment, investing in room treatment, a lot of research, and finally training. Yeah, same. Mostly from you and your community. That's the order I did things. And look at you now, Caesar. Ultimately, it boils down to just do it. Worry about the details as you go. I still like my quote about hacking away at the undergrowth until you find your golden city. Still makes a lot of sense. That said, hello, everyone. Holidays are upon us. Hope all is well with everyone. I have stockings large enough to fit microphones and analog equipment. Fingers crossed we all get some good VO stuff. Crossing my fingers for you. Although I think you may just get some coal. Just saying. You're not. I'm kidding. Kimberly is here. Hey, Kimberly. The why was huge for me. I went on vacation in the summer, and when I returned home, I made the comment, I could have been recording. And it was a good vacation. I simply loved doing it. Now that is definitely something to go on vacation and think about recording while you're on vacation. That is love. That said, the training and coaching was 100% needed for me. Still is. Yeah, and ongoing training and coaching is definitely needed too, because there's always going to be changes and trends. There always could be more. How do I want to put this? There's always more to learn. Let's just go simple, Angela. There's always more to learn, right? Just when you think you know everything, you don't. You don't. There's always more to learn. There's always changing trends. There's always niche specific things, styles, tones, there's always more to learn. And with all of the wonderful people available to learn from them all. Start with the people that do what you want to do or are where you want to be, and learn from them first, and then branch out and start to kind of flesh out all of those skills. But never stop learning. Simply put, never stop learning and growing. Dwight says, hi, Kimberly. Not sure I have seen you before. If I have, I apologize for me being forgetful me. So welcome again to a very fun and helpful community. Absolutely. We are helpful and fun. Then Dwight says, Kimberly, before I forget, don't forget to always strive to get that mom look from Angela at least once during our Tuesday sessions. I think most of those are just for you, Dwight. Like pointing out that the spelling was wrong in the poll. Love you, Angela. Love to tease you. I know you do. Jim says, good morning from chilly Memphis. I don't even know what it is here in Phoenix. I think it's 50-something, 60-something. I'm not sure. Good morning, Jim. I think the last choice is an obvious first one because in doing it, we decide how to arrange the other elements. Very true. And I think ultimately, again, it's sort of like a chicken and the egg thing. But I think having even a little bit of all of them in the beginning is not a bad thing. Because having the tools, you can start to practice. You can start to learn how everything works. And then the training, you can't really practice your training without having the tools, without having the equipment, right? And the software and things. And then the planning can be kind of sprinkled throughout everything. So, I mean, you could, I would say, just simultaneously do all of these. But the main thing is just to go. Go. Don't just do one after the other, or do one and then get stuck. Do all of them, but just go. Yes, I'm pumping the brakes on a tangent. Peak Parable says, you could make more money working another job starting out with less risk and quicker financial return. If no passion, then it was very unlikely. I'm not sure what TK have long-term, if not even short-term success. Yeah, I think, and again, everybody's coming from a different starting point. So if you are employed full-time, and this is another thing, is time. Where do I find the time? Just to give you guys an idea of how I started, if you don't already know, I was employed full-time, worked 55, 60 hours a week on call pretty much, did some weekends. I was working a lot. I headed a department at a BMW store and was doing this on the side. And when I came home from work, I had to sacrifice. I had to sacrifice a little bit of time, either away from my family or, sleep, a weekend time. But I knew that this was the ultimate goal, was to go full time. And what I was going through, the sacrifices that I was making, were temporary. And that ultimately that I would be able to spend more time with them once I got to this point. Right? So the sacrifice part is temporary until you get to the point that you're trying to reach. So just go. Colin says, good morning from Houston, Texas. Good morning, Colin. Rustic Hillbilly says, good morning, all. Good morning to you, Rustic Hillbilly. Okay, so now it just finally popped up. 57 degrees here in Phoenix. Peak Parable says, for main job, I work construction outside today, being a balmy 15. That's a hard pass, 15 degrees. That is one of my whys. Better working conditions and life flexibility. I hear that. Tanya says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, Tanya. David Brumfield says, hello from Ontario, Canada. Hello to you, David. Dare I ask what the temperature is in Ontario? Dylan says, good morning, all. My first step was research. A lot of research. Too much research. I got paralyzed and overwhelmed. After a kick in the pants, I invested in the equipment that I researched. And then the continuation. After that, I joined the Platinum Group and got the coaching training. But I'm still doing a bit of every choice, and I feel that I always will. Yep. It's always learning a little bit more about all of them. To never stop learning. Yep. And for those that don't know, the Platinum Group is on my website. It's a group where fantastic group of people. We meet once a week on Thursday nights for a couple of hours, and we go through practice scripts. We go through actual auditions. We review auditions as a group, like give feedback on auditions and demos and things. We develop character voices just based on images and a little bit of background. We do Wheel of Emotions every month, which is always super fun. We have a literal wheel that's got an emotion on it, and whatever emotion that the wheel lands on is what you have to emote in whatever generic script that I have, even if it's contradictory to how it's written, right? So in doing this, we explore what emotions sound like. And then also in that is where we discover that giving that emotion 50 to 100% more is important, because an emotion in your head may not come out sounding that way, out of your mouth in a recording. So expressing an emotion, even when it feels the opposite. I mean, all of these exercises are fantastic and not only that, but getting outside of your comfort zone, right? And performing in front of people and getting live feedback. But anyway, squirrel. So that's my Platinum Group, and it's on my website, voiceoverangela.com, if you'd like to join us. And we also have a full library of practice scripts, and we have our Discord, which is invaluable, where you can watch people perform accents or just work, or, we have all kinds of stuff. So that's what that is. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I do that a lot, just telling you. Sean Lester is here. Hey, Sean. I say equipment only because you must have at least an inexpensive USB mic and a DAW. 4 years ago, I had a cheap computer, a free DAW, a $35 mic, and a clothes closet. And I think that's how most of us start, to be honest. Right? We start with whatever mic we can get our hands on, and then we upgrade. And if you're Caesar, you upgrade a lot and have a big stable of microphones. Dwight says, I know. I figured out the correct answer for the poll. First thing we need to do is to join Angela's Platinum Group. We have so much to offer newbies and old bees. We'll have to use that. Old bees, newbies, and old bees. Thank you for that, Dwight. Sean says, after equipment, I discovered that it is fun to do voiceovers, acting, etc. I would say practice, but by practice I mean have fun recording. And that is a huge thing. And the practice, not only do you want to try different things, but play. Have fun. Let yourself have fun and play with different character voices, with different emotions. And that is one thing that the Wheel of Emotions does that we do every week. It helps you to sort of let go of, the inner adult. Just have fun and explore. Yeah. Jim says, when it comes to auditions for ACX or any other client, if a book goes off shelf or closed to auditions, I record anyway and use the audition for a sample. So nothing is lost or wasted. That's good. And just a quick reminder for those of you who haven't heard me say this before, if you are on ACX and you do an audition, you use that audition as a sample, because 40% of all jobs are booked through the samples and the other 60% are booked through auditions. So oh my gosh, what just happened? Never underestimate the power of posting samples. Absolutely. Do double duty with that work that you just did. Kristen Calais Anderson, am I saying that right? Equipment, kind of struggling there. What is the struggle? If you can tell us what the struggle is that you're having with your equipment, we can probably help you in terms of what you need, what is necessary. Let us know. Can help you. Mark. Hey, Mark. Good morning from beautiful Nicaraguan. I brought donuts. Oh, good. Good. Got to have donuts with our coffee, everybody. Kathleen is here. Hello, Angela and everyone. I think your why is most important. I wonder if my procrastinating is because I haven't validated my why enough. My gut says no. I think your procrastinating is because, to be honest, it's probably fear. I mean, fear drives a lot of us fear drives a lot of what we do every day. Fear in, just, that voice in your head, you're like you've got one voice telling you, oh, let's do this. This will be great. This will be so much fun. And then you've got the other voice saying, well, what happens if you get too busy? What happens if you get rejected? What happens if you, right? And this voice, the fear voice, typically outweighs the other one. It's louder than the other one. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that it's just a human thing. But when you recognize that you're doing that to yourself is what's important. Because once you go, you know what am I so afraid of? What's the worst that can happen? And I think most of the time it's just rejection, right? We all fear being rejected in some way, shape, or form. And that's where the positive thinking comes in. Because if you can reframe those negative thoughts to positive ones, and remind yourself that rejection is just redirection, or is like, what's the, like everything happens for a reason sort of a thing, or you just weren't the right voice for that project. So go find the one that you are meant to do. Go find the one that needs your voice or is looking for your voice, right? You can't take that stuff personally. You just can't. And I know that's easy for me to say, probably because of, I was in the car business for 20 years, so my skin is pretty thick anymore. But thinking of things in a positive way will definitely help. So don't let the fear decide your fate. You decide your fate. You decide what you want to do. And I think that's why just jumping in and doing it will really help shut that fear voice up, because you're showing yourself as you're doing that you can. You can do this because you just did, right? So if you have a fear of learning how your DAW works or how to edit or how to whatever it is, and then you do it and you go, oh yeah, I can do that. I just did it. And then you just keep doing that, and that will help to shut that fear voice up. So just get in there and do it. Try it. Get in there and learn as you go. But I don't think it's because of your why, although you should have a strong why. Okay. Tangent. That looks like it's a duplicate. Mark. Jim says, in deciding what book to audition for, I pick books that cover topics I need to explore further. This helps me grow my own self. Absolutely, but don't limit yourself to just books that you want to learn more about. Yes, I say in the beginning, choose topics that interest you, because that interest is going to come through in your read, while you're learning how to express yourself and to learn character voices and all the other things that go into audiobooks. But if you choose something in the beginning that interests you, that's naturally going to come through in your read. But as you're growing and you're recording and producing more and more audiobooks, start to step outside of your comfort zone. Because if you get offered a book that's not really interesting to you, but could yield you some income, are you going to turn it down? Probably not. So step outside of your comfort zone and try books in other genres and other categories. You might find that you enjoy them just as much. Caesar says to Kristen, is it Kirsten? Kirsten. What sort of equipment struggles are you facing? We might be able to help you out. See? Jim says, please discuss invoicing software a bit. Need ideas on this. I think we actually did a live chat on just this topic a while ago. So if just to get a deeper dive into it, if you go to my channel and you go to the live streams, and then in the filter or search bar, you can search for invoicing, I think is probably a good keyword. Software, invoice software. And we came up with several different ideas for invoicing software. I use PayPal Business because most platforms use it in some way, shape, or form. The invoices can be paid by any means of payment. They don't need a PayPal account to pay a PayPal invoice. And it integrates seamlessly in with QuickBooks and all of the other things that I use. So it makes tracking income and expenses super easy. So I use PayPal Business for invoicing, but there's also, if memory serves, there was also Wave. There's also Squarespace. If there's an invoicing software that you use, please share it in the comments to help Jim out. But there are a few different ones to use. Dwight says, do not forget to click the like button. It helps Angela's algorithms. It helps Angela's algorithms. Angela's algorithms. Yes, it does. Thank you very much. Gary Micheloni says, anyone can begin a VO career today. Practice. Requires no equipment or coaching. Just do it. And you can practice by reading anything and everything out loud. If you're reading a book for pleasure at home, read it out loud. That's good practice. Just read it out loud to yourself. And then while doing that, if there are character voices, then explore some different character voices. And then you might discover that you have like a whole arsenal. You have a whole stable of archetypes that you can already use when you start recording audiobooks, right? Just do it. Dwight says, I win. I got the first mom look of the day. Monty says, congrats, Dwight. Kirsten says, do you recommend getting a coach straight away before auditions? Oh, you know what? I didn't, and I wish that I had. Because you might save yourself from doing something you shouldn't be doing, or you might start out with good habits instead of building bad ones and not realizing you're, in a bad habit or doing a bad thing. And when I say bad, that's kind of harsh. I keep picking up my coffee cup but not drinking out of it. Hold on. I needed that caffeine. I'd say yes. I would say get training and coaching, mentorship, whatever it is. Join groups at the very least, masterminds, workshops, whatever it is, first or at the beginning. Don't wait to do that because you might develop bad habits and you don't realize that you're doing them. And when I say bad habits, an example of a bad habit, and I think we've all done this at some point, is artificial inflection, right? We're just reading a script and we're just throwing in artificial inflection as we go because it's kind of like a melody and we're not really focusing on what we're saying. Who we are as the narrator, who is our audience, who we're talking to, the why behind what the script is trying to convey, right? Are we trying to just give guidance or share information, or are we trying to, is it like a call to action? Are we trying, what is the script trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? Is it a feeling? Is it like for sales? I mean, what is the intent behind the script? And then, of course, who we're talking to, because we're not going to talk to kindergartners the same way we talk to a group of doctors, right? So understanding all of those things is really going to help you get the correct tone, pitch, speed, intent out versus just throwing in artificial inflection. And that is one bad habit that a lot of people do. So getting coaching earlier versus later is going to do nothing but help you to get started on the right foot, to probably see success sooner rather than later, of course. Not only that, but in the audition process itself, you'll get to learn, file naming conventions or, timing. I mean, what kind of tone or pitch or whatever it is that you should be including in a particular audition, depending on what the audition is for, how to, what should you say in the messages to those clients that you're reaching out to. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can learn up front in your first auditions instead of learning the hard way. So yes, absolutely. I'm trying to rein in the tangents. Oh boy, we have a super chat. Hold on. Hang on. Sean Lester, thank you for the super chat, sir. I appreciate you. Sean says, every day I audition for the first book listed on ACX, 1 per finished hour, and if I have time, 1 royalty share. That's not my genre. By doing this, VO becomes an adventure and my range has broadened. That's a good habit. And I think you've mentioned that before. That is a good habit. That is a good habit. And that's picking one, not just one, but both. I love that, Sean. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And then I lost my place. So everybody hop into, if AACX is available in your country, hop in there. If you have a profile, do what Sean does. Audition for 1 per finished hour and 1 royalty share. That's not in your preferred genre. Brian says, I have the equipment, but as a beginner, I don't have much confidence in recording good demos. I hate listening to myself. You know what, Brian? I feel the same way. 6.5 years later, I still don't like listening to myself. But it does get easier. And I think everybody would agree that it's cringy. It's definitely cringy because we sound different in our heads versus out loud. It's a different experience and definitely cringy, but very, very common. I think we all do it. So don't feel bad. It's completely normal, but don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. I never in a million years thought that people would want to pay to hear me, but they do. Ultimately, it's not up to us what we think. Our opinion does not matter. Our opinions about our voice does not matter. What matters is what the client thinks. Because I can't tell you how many times that I've recorded something and I didn't like it. It wasn't that I felt that I was, giving them the wrong tone or it didn't feel good. I didn't like it. But the client loved it, and it was exactly what they were looking for. So ultimately, our opinions do not matter. You may hate your voice and cringe every time you hear it, but that doesn't matter. It's what you're providing to the client. That's what they're looking for. That's all that matters. But you're not alone, Brian. Dwight says, I started with equipment because of my past interests, but it was the wrong equipment. I watched a lot of videos and got some training while acquiring the right equipment and software. Yeah, I think we all do that too. We all start with what we see or what's the cheapest, and then we go, I'm going to upgrade, after you start seeing some income come in. Upgrading. Florida D says, hi, y'all. Well, hello, Florida D. John says, and a good plan now is better than a perfect plan that is executed too late. What's that saying? Failing to plan is planning to fail. Right? That applies. Jim says, going from our first estimation of strengths going in, I pass on spell check. Grammarly is not right about some issues. Yes. I don't know if I know any software that's 100% right 100% of the time. But I should have double checked before yes. Mark says, I have to bounce out, but I'll finish the show on the replay. Bye, Mark. Thanks for watching the replay. And if you are Team Replay, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It does help my algorithms to find other people that are looking for this information. I appreciate you. Tanya says, I had sons who are into music and helped me get some quality starter equipment without making costly mistakes. Well, that's useful. It's definitely useful. And if you're looking for some ideas on what to get, if you go to my website, voiceoverangela.com, in the VO Gear tab, there's a lot of recommendations in there for you. If you're looking for some ideas on what to purchase, a lot of that stuff in there I have owned myself or have heard really great things about from people that I respect and follow myself. So if you're looking for some ideas, there's a ton of stuff in there. John says, sometimes you have to remember to get out of your own way. Absolutely. I think we do that a lot. We hold ourselves back from a lot in life, just in general. We allow that fear to drive us one way or the other. Alex says, if you don't have your why would you do the rest? I think that's first, and then do the rest as you are able. Your why is definitely important. And I think alongside of your why, you also have to have a good definition or understand your definition of success. What does success look like to you? Right? That place that we call there. When I get there, I'll be happy. When I get there, I'll be, successful. What does success mean for you? Does that mean that you get to create your own schedule, that you get to spend more time with family, right? Defining success for you is part of your why, right? The reason you're pushed forward, and then your definition of success is sort of the ultimate goal, right? So that could be more time with your family, that could be X amount of dollars in your bank account, that could be whatever that is a part of your why, is your definition of success. It's going to be different for everybody, right? Oh, we have another super chat. Hold on. Coming. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. I'll be here for a while. Hold on. Florida D, thank you, Florida D. I appreciate that. My wife says I love to hear myself talk. Joking aside, the Platinum Group is worth every penny, 100 times over. Oh, best decision I've made since starting this journey. Thanks to everyone there. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And the Platinum, I'm not one of these people that likes to toot my own horn. I hate promoting myself. It makes me feel all oogie. It's probably the introvert. It is the introvert. But I do have to say that my Platinum Group is one of the best groups of people that I have ever had the pleasure of being a part of. So loving and supportive and so eager to give and to help and to support everyone else in the group and to share what they've learned, their successes, their failures, ask for help, give help. Such a wonderful group of people. My God, I'm getting emotional. Okay, we're moving away before I start tearing up, but thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Again, if you're looking for a group, a mastermind, something, it's $20 a month for the Platinum Group. It's not about the money for me. It's just, there's overhead and things that come with it. But if you want to be part of the group and have the Discord and all of that practice scripts and join with us once a week, it's a great group of people. We're not judgy. We're not like critical about things. We have a lot of fun. We're very open to new members. Everybody, all experience levels. You're very welcome. Okay, I'm done. Now I gotta find where I left off again. I think we're here. Dwight says to Kirsten, try making some samples and putting them out for peer review on the VO social media groups. Join a VO community. It will speed up your VO growth and process exponentially. Not only that, but joining groups on Facebook or like my workshop or whatever it is, just join something. Because not only the help with technical aspects, getting your questions answered, but just the support for your mental health, right? Because you're joining a group of people who understand where you're coming from, who are where you are now and can understand and to help you grow and to support you and to comfort you in times of loss and things like that, right? When to pick you up when you're feeling down, because we understand. We understand when the family or your partner, whomever, doesn't quite understand what you're going through. We do. And that in and of itself is everything. Kirsten says, my DAW, learning to use the editing. I'm using Audacity. Going to try free Adobe trial upon Angela's suggestions. Did finally get the mic, computer, and interface hooked up right. Good. I know it's a little bit scary, it's a little bit daunting, but once you figure out how everything works and then works in harmony with each other, I know it's frustrating and it's time consuming, but trust me, you do get past this point. You will learn the DAW. Everything won't seem like a foreign language anymore. You just have to get into it. Like Caesar and some others says, you just have to do it. And then you learn as you go. So don't ever get down on yourself for not knowing things. You will know them. You just don't know them yet. Make sure you always add the yet to whatever you say. I don't have this thing yet. I don't know this thing yet, right? Positive. No stinking thinking here. We don't do that here. So good. Get in there. Do it. Alex says, if you do not have your why would you do the rest? For me, that's first. Then all the rest as you go. Jim says, one strength of you is that you are doing audiobooks now. Have a current idea of what the world is like on this. Caesar to Kirsten says, Adobe Audition is tremendous upgrade from Audacity. You will have to relearn a few things, but in the end, the intuitiveness, ease of use of Audition will be highly beneficial. See, how come Caesar doesn't get beat up about grammar? I know what he's trying to say. I'm not going to, well, I just did, but only because you guys did. But I agree. I used Audacity for, I think, the first 2 or 3 months. And then I got onto Adobe Audition, and I had to relearn a couple things. But I knew enough at that point that the transition wasn't too bad. But I found that Adobe Audition just sort of gave me more usability. It gave me more options, and it was a lot easier to see and do things. The great word that Caesar used, the intuitiveness, it just felt like it was a lot easier to understand and to use and to find things. I really like Adobe Audition, and I'll always recommend it. Florida D says, weather is tough here at 78 degrees. Oh, yeah, that's... Hate to be you right now. Jim says, I started out listening to podcasts about VO. Yes, that is another great resource of learning, researching. Voiceover podcasts, there's a ton of them. If you just go to your favorite podcast app and put in voiceover, I would imagine, or VO, you'll probably get a lot of results. I have one too. Mine is She Lancer with VoiceOver Angela, and they're pretty much the replays of these because I've asked for more playback options, but there's a lot of them. Mission Audition, there's VO Peeps, there's a VO's Journey, there's a ton of them out there. VO Body Shop, there's a ton of them that are just great. So voiceover podcasts are great too. Kathleen says, Peak Parables sounds like you work in my neighborhood. It's a fabulous 18 degrees here. Oh, no, thank you. BC English says, I did the research and then more research, purchased the equipment and software, but got stuck on mastering the DAW and liking my voice. Again, these will pass. These will pass. These fears, these will pass. The DAW, I think, was one of the, maybe. I think the technical part, learning the DAW, was one of the most time-consuming parts. But another reason to join voiceover groups, because with the terminology, you know, you'll hear people talking about things and then explaining what they are and what they do. It'll start to make more sense the more that you do it and the more that you use it and the more that you practice with it. A lot of these DAWs come with tutorials, and a lot of these DAWs have great YouTube creators that create content about each of these DAWs all over YouTube with, you know, specific functions and, you know, overall tutorials. So YouTube is a great resource for learning additional things about your DAW too if you get stuck. Or you can just shoot out a question into one of your voiceover groups and get an answer there too. But the liking your voice, I don't know. I mean, for me, I still go, ugh, I can't. I don't like it. Kirsten says, I haven't quite learned Audacity yet. So maybe I should just go ahead and move to Adobe Audition and learn this. Thank you for your insight, Caesar. I think you might like it. I think you'll like it. Kathleen says, fabulous 18 degrees because it could always be 0. It's true. That's true. 18 is better than 0. For sure. David says, temp in Southern Ontario, not bad today at 45 degrees. That's not bad. That's not too bad. That's not as bad as I thought. Carmen says, good afternoon from Gainesville, Florida. Everybody, it's 76 here today. I'm brand new here. I don't have any experience in this field, so I've been researching how to record and edit Audacity via YouTube. And that is a good start. So you don't have any experience yet, but you will the more you do it. So good. Keep practicing and researching. Keep learning, keep growing, keep at it. Dwight says, the Platinum Group is so much more than just Thursday night workshop, which is priceless, but so many talented group members provide other expertises, like you with your productivity. Eric last night gave an English accent class. Yes, he did. I'm sad that I couldn't attend. I was too busy with other things, but yeah, I'm sure it was fantastic. BC English says, I joined the Platinum Group but haven't been active yet. You should be. Get in there. Be active. Join us. Join us. Kristen says, yes, Sean, that's what attracted me to voiceover. Seems like so much fun. And I love to read aloud. Learning the rest is that it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge. It is an inevitability. You will get there, right? You just have to go with the flow and learn what you can when you can learn it. What you can when you can. Tanya says, I got so caught up in Audacity, but am so much happier now that I've started with Audition. Good. See, there's another good review for Audition. Dylan says, to piggyback on Dwight's comment, the Thursday meetings are amazing, but the Discord is just as great. Our members are always online and willing to provide instant feedback or answers. There you go. And you get to join our private Discord server just for the Platinum members when you become a member. That's just part of the package. And that in itself, I think, is worth the membership fee. Maybe twice over. So cool how much you can do on Discord. Dwight says to Sean, I use you, dude, to brighten my mood and lift my performances when I need more energy and upbeat attitude. Using those you meet in support groups is a great way to improve elsewhere or everywhere. Kristen says, learning a new computer skill at 67. The editing and the DAW recommendations from Caesar, much appreciated. Age is just a number, my dear. Age is just a number, love. Joy Jones, I love it. For those on a tight budget, such as myself, what's the best low-cost mic to begin with that we won't have to upgrade right away? That's where I am at, really. I don't have a ton to invest. I get this question a lot, Joy, and there really isn't like a one-size-fits-all. I'm sure Caesar has some input. Caesar, if you haven't input, then please input, because Caesar has a really good grasp on what all the microphones sound like. And you might hear opposing opinions on this, but I think a USB mic, a good USB mic to start out with, is not a bad thing. You will want to upgrade at some point. I started on a USB mic. I did fine. Again, I've got great ideas for you on my website in the VO Gear tab, voiceoverangela.com. There's some recommendations in there. I think a lot of mics I've seen lately have like a dual input, meaning they have an XLR input and they also have a USB input. So you can use them either as a USB mic or once you get an interface, then you can use the XLR input. I've seen a lot of them go that way. Excuse me. Let's see if Caesar has some input for you, Joy. Would be the best investment in the beginning. Kathleen says the fear voice is definitely there. I'm working through it. Just flick it off your shoulder. Joy West. Hey, Joy. Good morning or afternoon, everyone, from a cloudy, chilly Southfield, Michigan. I did a lot of research, but I had to get over the fear part, and that took me a year to do before I went in full throttle. And I can tell you, Joy, just from how long have you been in the Platinum group now? There has been such a improvement. There's been so much improvement in your performances as of late. Since the beginning, I have seen so much improvement in your reads and everything. I'm so proud of you, Joy. So you think that your major hurdle was your fear? I guess it could be. I'm sure it's a factor for all of us in some way, shape, or form. But I'm glad that you're getting past it, Joy. So proud of you. Carmen says, I let the fear paralyze me into doing nothing with this for the past year. I'm finally doing the research and just recording my voice. Still learning how to navigate Audacity at the moment. That's good. You're doing something about it. The best way to overcome that fear is to do it. Because again, as you do it and you start to overcome these little things that are stopping you or holding you back, these little things that you think you can't do, and that you prove to yourself that you can, that gives you fuel to kick that fear voice off your shoulder, right? You'll start to overcome the fear by showing yourself that you can, that there is no reason to fear. You can do it. The confidence in that will outweigh your fear. Jim says, in Mission Audition, there is an artist interviewed, and their contact info is provided for you to get ideas and input. Some of them will take samples and give feedback. Very helpful. Yeah, it's a really cool podcast. Mission Audition is a really good one. Caesar says to Joy Jones, if you're looking for something that'll last, the initial investment will be a touch hefty. You will want an XLR system. But in a pinch, you can start with a USB mic, make some cash, then buy an interface and professional microphone after. It really depends on what your starting budget is. I knew Caesar would come through. Dylan says, for invoicing, I use a guy named Bruno. He's not the brightest, but he always gets me my money. Oh, wait, you meant invoicing for voiceover. Never mind. Disregard this comment. Kathleen says, Bucky. Yes, my mug is from Bucky's. Yes. Now that I'm holding it, I can take a sip. Yep, Bucky's. I don't have, well, they're supposed to be building the first Bucky's here in Arizona. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad you like my cup. Caesar says, Bruno's the reason why I kind of miss having kneecaps. Dylan says, I told you, Caesar. He doesn't take missed payments lightly. But now you know, and we're all good. Well, I'm all good. You'll now walk with a limp. Jim says, using ACX's Audio Lab is something I do whether or not I'm submitting it for audition. It's good for any audio, long or short. Yes, for those of you that don't know, ACX, again, if you have a profile on ACX, if you're looking to check your audio to see if you're meeting ACX's standards, meaning the noise floor standard, the peak amplitude standard, the RMS standard, you can upload your audio into ACX's Audio Lab. Audio Lab is right there on their site. And it'll tell you what you're missing, what you need to fix. And through that trial and error, you'll learn a lot too. And also, for those of you that have never heard me say this before, which I don't know how this is possible, but if you want to try audiobook narration without actually signing up for ACX, and then, you don't have the money pressure, you don't have the time frame pressure on you, you want to try it and see if this is something you can do or get some good practice in. And I hate to use the word practice for this, but essentially it's confidence building in doing this. You can start out with LibriVox.org. I think I still have my banner for that. Yeah, it's LibriVox.org. You can go to that website and volunteer your time in narrating a book in the public domain, either a book in its entirety, a section, a chapter, right? But through that process, you will go through the entire audiobook production process. I mean, albeit on a smaller scale, but still, you learn how to narrate, edit, master, format, and upload files, right, to meet certain standards. And these are all books in the public domain. So doing that will build so much confidence and to show you that you can do this, and it will eliminate a lot of the fear that we have in the beginning, right, of doing well. If the client's going to like it, are they going to, cancel the contract? Are they going to pay me? Doing this eliminates all of that. And you can prove to yourself that you can. And that, hey, I do enjoy this. And hey, I can do this. I'm really excited now to sign up on ACX. I have a lot more confidence now. So if you want to give that a try, that's something I definitely recommend, going to do that with LibriVox. And then I lost my spot again. Hold on. Here we go. Gary says to Joy, get a Samsung Q2U mic, about $60 new, highly rated. It's USB and XLR. Can't beat it for the price. And then also another note, Joy, you don't have to buy these brand new. You can find a lot of gently used by voice actors equipment. There's a dedicated equipment voiceover equipment Facebook marketplace. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but if you search some of those terms in there, you'll find it. Also, Sweetwater. It's a great place to find equipment. They also have a used gear marketplace where you can buy used microphones, interfaces, headphones, all of those things. You can find this gear pre-owned. It doesn't have to be brand new, right? Sean says, I've got to where I enjoy listening to myself, not because it's me, but because it is a character, not me, that I'm listening to. Well, there you go. There's another way to think about it. It's a character. That's not really me. It's a character. Caesar says, upgrading equipment. I wouldn't know anything about that. No, completely foreign to you, Caesar. Alex says, I've always hated hearing my own voice when I was younger, but success in choir and playing the lead in a musical in high school did their best to tell me my voice is fine. I would still be cringy. If it were me and I had all of that praise and accolades, I'd still be like, ugh. And Dwight says, I think it's just my introvert. Dwight says to Jim, I like you using ACX Audiolab for everything, not because it always required, but because it is about habits and muscle memory relating to good habits. Pete and repeat? Colin says, I went from USB to a Rode NT1 Signature and Reaper DAW. The production quality and simplified editing was well worth the expense. I wish I had started here. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Reaper, Reaper is another DAW, obviously. The big three, I think, are Audacity, Adobe Audition, and Reaper. Audacity is free to use and download. Adobe Audition is a monthly subscription. And Reaper is a lifetime one-time purchase. As of today, as far as I know. Don't quote me. But definitely take a look at all three and see which one looks like it could be a better option for you. I think it just really comes down to preference in the end, and choosing one is important because it's what you're going to be using every day, all day for, X amount of time. So it is important to choose one that just feels right, as easiest to understand for you. Dwight says, absolutely true for all of us. Joy says, that is so true. Everyone has their own definition of what success is. It's different for everybody. Alex says, I've always hated hearing my own voice, especially when I was younger. I think that was a duplicate. Carmen says, would you recommend the Platinum Group for someone who is still learning how to navigate their DAW? Yes, because we go over editing and DAWs all the time. You could be in the research phase and join the group. You could be a veteran of 6 years and join the group. Learning from each other is one of the biggest things here, I think. Not only in voiceover and audiobook narration, but also, like Dwight said earlier, other expertises. Like Dwight is really great with organization and productivity, and he shares some of his tips too with the group. I mean, and also not only that, but the networking aspect too. I know there's group members that are doing duet audiobooks because they know each other and what they sound like and what they're capable of and what they can do. There's tons of different reasons to join groups. But our group, we welcome everybody at any stage. You don't have to be in your studio to participate. You could be, we have Eric sometimes that joins from Disneyland just to say hi. I'm at Disneyland. I mean, you don't have to be in your studio to participate at all. Or you could just, any experience level, I think is what I'm trying to say. Jim says, currently reading a book on self-motivation in order to get going further. Well, there you go. That's a good one. Self-motivation books or any kind of self-help books about motivation, business are good to read anyway, for sure. Joy says, hi, Caesar. How are you doing? Angel says, the Platinum Group has really pushed me to take action with my VO business. It is really a helpful community. Whenever I have a question, someone is always there to help. Thank you all. Yes, especially on our Discord, there's always somebody there to answer a question or to give you feedback or to... There's just so many hands extended to say, here, let me help you with that. I love that. Everybody's a great group of people. Kirsten says, thank you, Dwight. Florida D says to Carmen, absolutely. There are experts that answer questions fast and friendly. My business skyrocketed after I joined, and I knew nothing before joining. You guys are the best. See? They are the best. Carmen says to Florida D, thank you. Florida D says, because Caesar fixes our technical issues, so his grammar is always acceptable. True. Caesar says, hi, Joy. I'm doing much better now. Are you going to be around this coming Thursday evening? I think it's going to be roulette read night. Yes, it is roulette read not tonight, Thursday night. Caesar says to Florida, put here compressor, low ratio, make sound good. Jim says he expresses well. I see nothing wrong with his word choice. Jim says Caesar, Usually Caesar has really great word choices. Joy says to Caesar, yes, fingers crossed, no basement floods. Oh. Tycon Delar, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Angela. I'm changing shotgun mics from the Cinco D2 to the AT875R to try and mitigate outside noise. Since I can't afford a sound booth yet, I want my sound to be competitive since I'm new. Is that an Audio Technica? The AT875R? I'm not familiar with that one. I'm sure Caesar's like rolling his eyes. Yeah, I know all about it, Angela. Jim says, I started out editing in Audacity, but when it would not save a WAV file, I switched to Audition, have the Adobe package, which includes Audition and other stuff I want to use as well. Florida D says, got to bail for work Teams meeting. Oh, have fun. Yeah, we got to wrap up here too. Joy says, thank you. Gary says, Carmen and all of us, how about this saying? Fear knocked on the door, faith answered, and no one was there. That's a good one. Jim says, Zoom H5 recorder has 2 XLR inputs, gives 2 outputs so as to monitor the output while feeding to a DAW. It's for video production. It also lets me turn off the recorder so as to cut the fan noise. Yes, the Zoom H5 is also a good piece of equipment to use as a travel rig as well because it's small, right? For a small interface, and it can record to an SD card or it can feed directly into your computer. I have one. I have one as my travel rig. Jim says, as to Buc-ee's, Memphis has one under construction up east and another to the river in West Memphis. First town to have 2. I'm excited to have ours built. Joy says, amazing. Thank you all so much. Alex says, sorry for the repeat comments. Apparently removing them doesn't... It's okay. It's okay. Caesar says, if you want a starter set that'll last, Audient ID4 audio interface, Lauten Audio LA220 V2 microphone, world's best cables, Mogami XLR cables. I have those too, the gold standard. You'll be set for many years with excellent results. I have all of, not all of those, but I do have I have that interface and those cables on my website under VO Gear. Jim says, Sweetwater is where I was referred to for a mic. Got one cheaper than the main one I have always bought from them. Yeah, I think half of my studio is from Sweetwater and the other half Amazon. Colin says, just looked at Sweetwater, quality large diaphragm cardiologist mic starting at $100 currently. Great selection. Yes, and they have great sales, and their sales staff is fantastic. So if you have a question, you'll be matched with a sales rep, and they will periodically reach out to you just to see how things are going. And if you need any help, they'll give you recommendations. They are very knowledgeable. And Sweetwater, I can't speak of highly enough. I love Sweetwater. It's a great place to go for audio equipment. John says, I learned more in one session on the Platinum group that I did in 6 months of doing it on my own. Well, there you go. I love that. You guys are awesome. Dwight says, repeat after me. I are a voice over expert. Oh, all of this thanks to Angela and the group. Love you all. Yeah, I know what you meant. Cardioid. Yes, I thought that was just funny. Cardiologist. It's a cardiologist mic. Made specifically for cardiologists. Cardioid. Caesar says, I tried using a large diaphragm cardiologist for voiceover. He was very confused and asked to be untied and let go. I knew Caesar was going to jump in there. You're very funny, Caesar. All right, y'all. I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate the time that you guys take out of your busy days to not only hang out with me and listen to me ramble on about things, but I hope some of this helped. And a lot of you that offered your insights and your opinions and your, like Caesar and a few others that offered, options in terms of DAW, mic, interface. Just the input that you guys put in is invaluable, not only to me, but to everyone else watching, whether along with us or later in team replay. All of this information does help somebody somewhere at some time. So I really appreciate you guys being active and participating. It means a lot, not just to me, but to everyone watching, I think is what I'm saying. So I appreciate that. I will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to end this stream because they've integrated the intros and outros, so it's a little confusing, but I'll try. So I don't know. I'll see you guys next time. All right, let's give this a try. Thank you for listening to She Lancer Mom Entrepreneur with VoiceOver Angela. That's me. For more information about me, visit my website, voiceoverangela.com, or hop on over to my YouTube channel, VoiceOver Angela. Again, thanks for listening. Have a great day.